Alright, we're back because I had to restart OBS. And now we get to start at the beginning, you guys, where we should be, not with some distraction about music. I'll probably take that down later. That was fun, wasn't it? Nice little side quest. You gotta have the side quest before you start the main quest. So if we go here, hello Shikama, everybody come back, come say hello again. I'll just tag up the chat again. Alright, so I'm not going to tell you how to install the whole thing. Oh, I gotta bring up my doc file again. Somehow that disappeared. You know, Unreal Engine, installing a program. If you can't install a program, you might have some difficulties in general with programming. But basically go to unrealengine.com and it's free. You have a free license. You can use it and publish things for free and not have to do anything special. You download it, you can publish a free product for free. If you don't make any money, you don't have to pay any money. It's awesome like that. So once you have it up, let's go I'll go full screen and I'll throw my chat up here. Make a new project. You're going to want to launch your engine version. You can update here, these little plus things. Also a nice thing to know about is click on the little arrow and sometimes a little notification for updates will be here. We're going to make a blank project, and then delete everything in it too. We're not going to deal with any of the stuff on the side. We're going to focus on some concept stuff without the distractions, because something about tutorials that I'm not a big fan of, not launching, here we go, is let's say they're like, okay, we're going to just bear with me for a moment while I do this and that and the other, and we're just going to put this here and that there, and then, okay, now this is the important part I want to tell you about. Nah, none of that. Also, something that bothered me about a lot of tutorials that I studied is that it took me like a year or two to actually find out some really important concepts. There it is. Oh, I got two of them opening up. I guess that one. Here we go. Once you see this little guy, you know you're in business. Headset not detected because I have some VR stuff enabled on there. Check it out. Check it out. I've been playing Stardew. I have Alex, but I've actually been playing more Stardew and Minecraft and stuff. Who knows why? I was actually already on board with VR, so Alex to me, I played it and I was just like, it's no Half-Life 1. Half-Life 2 was no Half-Life 1 either. I loved it for the storytelling revolutions. Physics is cool and all, but I would have loved to see more of. I like the way the Half-Life 1 starts with the perspective of a human being, and you're just a scientist. You have no like awesome history, and that got me really immersed in it. So anyway, while this is loading, the subject of today's video is object-oriented programming. And what that means is that it's the way that Unreal Engine works with C++, that everything's based on objects. So there you go, that's important to understand. An object is the fundamental type of thing in all things of Unreal Engine. So let's say you have some character. The character is based on an object. You have some sunlight. Sunlight's based on an object. Object just means basically an empty shell for code. And so object is the most minimal thing. Let's do this. You might find different versions of Unreal Engine. They always change this around. Try to create a new project. Go with blank. Oh, wait, we're not on here. Wait. Switching up. Back here. Okay, there we go. Hey guys, glad you're back with me. I'm going to keep it on this. I'm not going to go to the infographic much more. It's not really much information. That's more for myself. Checking. I'm not really seeing you guys on my restream thing too, so I'm going to keep this up so I can see chat. Someone replies so I can check my restream. Alright, here we are. I'll put a time code in here to start from here. Start a blank project. Blank. Might have different layout for how this is. This is a new layout, but we're going to do Blueprint. We're going to get into C++. I will cover that for sure. Keep it on desktop. Maximum quality is fine. If you have ray tracing, go ahead and use it. Doesn't really matter for this tutorial if you don't disable it. There are settings, there are things to consider, but for this tutorial let's keep it off for now, because there's stuff to consider. We'll keep ray tracing disabled even though I have it. Keep the starter content, we can use it. You're going to have a destination for yourself and you have a name. We'll call it object-oriented programming, or maybe just tutorial underscore 001 underscore 00p, whatever, OOP, do what you like. This is just for the tutorial. In this case, you want to keep your names short. If you have really long file names, it can become a problem when you're packaging. I did click the button twice, so I have this open in the background. I probably opened Unreal Engine like 3 times. Failed to import starter content. Okay. Kitty was rolling around outside. Alright, here we are. You should be here. If you have some buttons down here, you can dismiss them or say not now. Really, for this tutorial, it doesn't matter. What, kitty? Here, have my view. Jitterlad. Hey man, what's up? How's it going out there in the Netherlands? Oh wait, I have this audio thing open still. Shit. Technical difficulties have been up this whole time. I guess the chat is working, so I'm going to switch to full screen. Alright, so here's where we are. Very beginning. You see over here on the right, the world outliner? It has all the stuff in here. These are all objects, technically. That's an object, that's an object, that's an object. They're all derivative of object. They're all children of objects. So if you look at it, somewhere in here, you can find its parent. Let's say, for example, if you were to edit the sky sphere, this will open up a blueprint. Blueprint is sort of like what it looks like outside of the game. Like if it were just a blank template of like an example of the sky sphere. And on the upper right, you see parent class actor. Upper right corner, parent class actor. Theoretically, you also have file reparent blueprint. You could totally do that theoretically. So by parent, go up to actor. That's a C++ class, so it's loading up C++ on my end. It might just be like, cannot load C++ on your computer because you do not have it. That's fine. Don't worry about it. But that's what happens. I just closed C++, whatever. Now, actor, if you go over here on the main screen, on the left panel, you have your content browser and modes. It might be in a different place for you. Actually, I have my screen customized. So you can take these things. I have my output log down here. You can drag them around, snap them to different corners. See how I'm doing this? Your layout is something that you're going to want to customize to your things. This might be, I believe it's down here to start with. You might have your content browser down here. It's just a little tab. You can take the tab, move it where you want, slide it around. Try to keep track of what the things are, not necessarily where they are. So in the modes panel, you get to kind of see some examples, all classes, all the stuff you could throw into a level. But in basic, you have empty actor. You don't have object here. It's because object isn't something you can actually put in the game as itself. It has to be based on an object. So an actor is like an object with stuff added to it. So it's a base class for an object that can be placed into or spawned into a level. So we're going to start the actual tutorial. The first thing we're going to do is just Control A when you have one of these things selected in the outliner. Control A, or you could do it while you have here. You have one of these things selected in the view. Control A, and delete because we don't want it right now. It's going to say if it's referenced right now, it's because the sky sphere is referencing the directional light. You're going to end up with this. I still have a directional light in here, actually. I'm going to delete that, too. Hey, WR, Tickle My Ewok. I remember that name. Welcome to class. You're here just in time. All I've done is open up a blank level and deleted everything. Okay? You'll also notice that we are in Untitled. That's the name of this map. So why don't we do File, Save Current As. Yeah, we're in a content folder. You may not have this engine content folder here or these other screens. Depends on what you have enabled in your editor settings. But if you're in content, just go ahead and call it whatever. Call it 001 OOP or tutorial 001 OOP. It doesn't matter too much. Go back to content browser. There's a couple buttons I want you to be aware of here. You have show or hide the sources panel. There's a little arrow with some things on it. Now all of a sudden you're just in Windows Explorer. This is just a file browser. Down here, lower right corner of your content browser, you have view options. This is how I have all this engine content enabled. Here are the C++ classes, engine content, plugin content. That's because you end up downloading stuff or you work with stuff. There you go. I could even hide C++ classes if I wanted, but with those disabled, that probably looks more like what you have. But it's good to know that you can access those. Sometimes you want to access the source file of something. Maybe and this is something to know. This engine content folder gets automatically replaced every time you update the engine. So if you're working and you were like, oh, I love that sky sphere, but I wish it was a little bit different, because that's what I've done. You want to copy the sky sphere, right? Let me show you how to mean. Search here, sky, look in engine sky sphere. There it is. That's a file in a browser. It doesn't exist in the game yet. All of this stuff is just stuff that you can use. When you export your project, it'll only include whatever is in any of the levels. You can have multiple levels, and each level will have stuff in the world outliner, and that will get exported. So, for example, in this file in our browser, we will right-click and copy. Let's see. Duplicate. We want to duplicate, just for example. And you can drag this into... Oh, I have the search still filled out here. You see? So I'll clear the search. Now I can see stuff again. Let's go back into it. We can search on the right too. See, so we can search under folders or search under files. So I have my duplicates here. Just drag that into content. Move here, because this is the duplicate. We could have, also you see what we could have done. We could have just taken this guy, dragged it, and done copy here. Either of these, thing about programming with Unreal Engine is there are a lot of different ways of doing things. You don't want to get stuck in thinking this is the only way to do something. So now we have our version of the sky sphere. When you update the engine, say to 4.24.4 or 4.25.2, because you don't want to use the fresh new versions of a major release that usually has a lot of bugs. Little pro tip. When it updates, it's going to replace all that stuff. So your modified sky sphere, say for example, if you click on the name a couple of times, you can get the change name thing, just like Windows, or you can click F2. Some things it works on, some things it doesn't. Let's say modified. You can throw that in there. Look at that beautiful sky. That's neato, right? Let's work with the sky. Let's keep the sky in there. I like it. And if we want to change it later, we can. Now this is a folder. You can right-click it, new folder, sky. Now you see, now we can drag this into there. Move here. We haven't changed anything in the game, in the level. We've just changed our file directory for our blueprints, our code, our stuff, our assets, our 3D models. All that stuff doesn't really exist yet. Once you put it in here, then it's going to get exported. So the first thing we're going to do is make our own object. This is actually the first thing. All that other stuff I just made up right now. So go to new folder. Let's call it blueprints. Maybe we'll subcategorize this later, but the categorization of folders is the same concept of parent class and child class. So let's say in blueprints we might have object. Let's go, if you right click here, right click in here and do create basic asset blueprint class. This is most of the times that you want to create something, you'll either do it that way. I'm going to close this now. Or you'll do add new, and you have the same menu here. You also have sort of shortcuts to things that if you know exactly what it is and what category it's in, you could get to the type. Like, if you wanted to make a basic blueprint, or you needed some foliage, or a video file, and then you reference it outside of the game. So either way, right click, create blueprint class, and down here you see all classes. This is literally everything in Unreal Engine that you could source your code from to build off of. You see at the top there's object. Minimize that. There's nothing else. Everything is an object. McFlurry. Okay, Mr. Temix. Class, settle down now. Settle down, class. Alright. Under object, you've got all this stuff. Did you see actor? Actor right there. I'm going to double check my screen just to make sure everything looks okay. You guys can read it and everything. Is good? Is good, yes? Okay. I don't know what accent that was. I apologize. Under actor, now you've got a bunch of stuff The difference between an object and an actor is what we're going to disambiguify here. You like that word? Actor is something that can be placed or spawned in a level. So it exists as an object that gets like saved, or when you're running code in the game, it can be spawned dynamically, so that it gets created at runtime rather than being there in the level when loaded. Now, this is a really important concept when you're thinking about saving and loading the state of things. Let's say you start your level and there's pickups everywhere, and then you run around and you pick them up. You're going to have to keep track of that somehow. If you want to load that level back up again, when the map loads up, it's going to automatically place all those things that you had pre-placed there. So you're going to have to work with save game logic to tell the map, hey, either spawn or don't spawn these things, or maybe delete these things, or whatever concept you want to work with. So an actor is something in-game. Then what's an object? How is it a thing if it's not a thing? Well, an object is more like you can put code on there. You can have numbers, you can have equations and functions, but it's not like it won't have a place in the world. It exists abstractly. You can't put them in the level to begin with, but you can create them. You can create the object during your code at runtime. And so, for example, a camera shake is an object because it doesn't exist. It does some stuff, but it doesn't need to exist in the world. That saves a lot of overhead for performance. So if you have some thing that you need to do code work, but it doesn't have to be somewhere. Foliage types. I saw a really good one. Vehicle wheel. Save game itself. Save game is an object that you create at runtime. You put data in there, or you load data from it based on the file that gets created on your computer. It saves it as a text file, and then it references that. So those are objects that can be created, and an actor is something that you can make in the world. So the first thing we're going to do is just make an object. With object selected, select. You also have actor, pawn, and stuff like that up here for shortcuts. But again, we're just doing object. Call it my first object. And check this. You try and drag it in here, it's like, no. No, you can't do that. No. Well, what does an object look like? Here's a blueprint. Again, like I showed you, the details panel on the right is completely empty. There's nothing on there yet. Here, your event graph, you can do code. You have stuff you can do. We won't get into that yet. On the left, you can have functions, macros, variables. This variable button is very important. It's up here. You're going to see that a lot. It's going to be a big concept. You're going to want to know where that is. Variables. Just click it right now. Go ahead. There you go. You got a variable. What is it? I don't know. Click enter. That's a Boolean, technically. We'll just delete it for now. You see it has some details on the right because it's selected? If you click away from it, that's the details panel. Very Windows, isn't it? All right, delete that. Compile buttons. Question mark. What does that mean? It's dirty. It needs to be recompiled. Just go ahead. Compile and save. That just basically checks your code. It says, okay, we're going to go through the code and see if it actually works. If there's a problem, we'll let you know. And I'm going to save it just to save it. All right. Do another one, though. We're doing actor now. See the difference. So either right-click or do add new. Blueprint class. Actor is listed up here, so you could either click that button or you could click down here. Again, multiple ways to do things. I'm going to click the button up here. I'll call it my first actor. Now, this guy can go in the world. Let's save all. Let's just save all regularly. There's an autosave option too. It gets kind of annoying. I turn that off usually. Now, put it in the world. You see it can go wherever we place it, all the way out there. You see how it's sort of like in the grid? It's actually getting... If I put it here, for example, you'd think it'd be at the middle of the map, but no, it's actually way down there. If we look on the right, we have it selected, my first actor. Click away. We'll actually click on the sky sphere because it's here. You can right-click here to look around and then WASD around like it's an FPS. You can also middle mouse button to kind of pan around. You can left-click to kind of move your mouse around like as if it's a lateral movement. So you can do everything from just your right mouse button if you wanted to. You can move up, down, rotate. Another cool thing is if you hold down right mouse button and let's use the keyboard for this. Right mouse button and WASD around, so you're like flying. And use the mouse wheel. You can speed up and slow down. Now, there's nothing really to compare here. It's hard to see what we're doing. But that way you can speed up, fly away, end, or what is it, E and Q, E and Q are your up and down keys. So EQ, right mouse button. You fly around. Guess what? There's a shortcut. Click on my first actor and hit F. Boom. It's very important. You're going to hit F a lot. Everybody F for respect in chat, please. I need some class participation here. So with that selected, you see this details panel has stuff in it now. Click away, click on. One of the most important things to show you first is this location under transform. There's other stuff here, lots of other stuff. It's all about it. You also have this little list of components. An actor has a component. A component is a thing that you can put on one of these actors, and it's like it exists inside of the actor. It too has a transform. You see that this number? Actors have a transform. That's a big thing because it exists in the world. It can have a location, a rotation, and a scale. Transform means those three things is a transform. And location, rotation, and scale each have three things in themselves, and that makes them vectors. So that's good to know. A vector is a 3-unit number. So here you can change the x. You can slide it around. You can change the y. You can slide it around. You can change the z. Or you can hit this little arrow, and that'll send it to 0. With right-clicked in here, at least just to know, you can left-click in here, but then you'll lose your grab of the first actor. So left-click my first actor, and then hit F. We're back at it. Whoa, I just flew away because my mouse was too fast. I like to just fly around with the mouse sometimes. It's easier. So let's double-click the... Now here again, you've got this guy in the map. What if we had multiple of them? I'm going to reset its position and drag it over. Okay, I'm going to delete that and show you again what I did there. So this is my first actor. Drag it into the level. Now there's 2 of them in here. They're both my first actor. My first actor and my first actor too. I'm going to reset this location of the other one, so it's back at 0. They're both at 0. And so since it's kind of hard to tell where they are, I'm just going to... Let's type in 10 here. You can type in numbers if you want. Let's type in 100. That's 100 units. You see how it fits on the grid? Hey, can you make your like louder? How about that? Because I kind of talk loud sometimes. That looks like I have some room to go there. All right, thanks for the tip, Cessafar. Cess? Is that cool? Do you like cess? I don't know. I guess that's called cesspool. I don't know. You gotta have a handle, man. Hacker's reference. So we have 2 instances of this actor. If you look on the panel, this is your blueprint of it. This is, I don't know what the official word, I guess it would just be, yeah, it's your blueprint. It's like blueprint, think of it literally. It's your template of how does this thing possibly exist in the world. We're going to add a component to it. So you see you have the scene root. Components are parts of an actor. They go with it. So whenever you have a component on it, that actually costs a little bit of performance to move it around if it's attached to it. You got to think about that. It's tracking the location of all these things on it. So if you have 100,000 components on an actor, you have 100,000 little things with transforms on them, I think. Or not really on them, but it's like the computer has to know where they are. So that's why you might want to use objects sometimes. But components, they're fine. I was just letting you know. Just something to keep in mind. Little problems can crop up when you let things get out of hand. So I've clicked this Add Component button. We're just going to add a text. Type in text here. You get text render. This way we can see what it is in the world. Now we have a details panel. Again, I'm gonna. You see how it's highlighted now? We can name it. Don't worry about that. Hit enter. It's just the text render for now. I can click away from it. No details panel. Click on text render. Details panel. It does have a transform though. You see this? The default scene root also has a transform. So this is like an attach point. I can move the root attach point. 100. No. Okay, maybe I'm confusing myself. Let's reset that. Oh, that's scale. Why is that the only thing on there? Okay, you can change this scale. The root just is there. It stays stationary. You put things on the root, and the stationary root goes with the actor. So I'm getting a little distracted here, but just type in my first actor here, just so it has a label. We've just labeled our thing. This is the text portion on the right. You can change your font here. If you want to drag and drop a font file. Thinking object-oriented means, think about this is from PlaneShift, which is a great dev for a great MMO. You should go check that. Thinking object-oriented means to think about which entities or objects are present in your game instead of thinking as a sequence of steps. Example, if you want to have a robot shoot an enemy, you should not think to the sequence of events, but more to build a robot object and enemy object and give them the properties you want. Example, attack. Correct. It can be hard to imagine, well, how do you make things happen? Well, each object has code that can run at the beginning of play, when it's created, and then when certain inputs happen, like overlapping something, or on a key press, or on AI perception. So when it sees somebody, it activates code and starts attacking. So that's how the game happens, with these actors that have code on them and do things, right? So we've labeled my first actor. Thanks for the tip, bro. I'm glad you're here. It's really good to see you. What we wanted to change here, well, as well as the size of the font. You have world size here for the render. It basically translates to font size, so I'll put 12 in there. Hit compile and save just to keep things tidy. And if we close this, you'll see these both have my first actor on them. They're labeled. They're both examples of my first actor. We have a skylight here, sort of. What is this? The sky sphere is actually making it easy to see things. But let's say you didn't have the sky sphere here. You see how there's a little eyeball next to it? If we closed that. That's funny. Well, I wanted to show you as well. You can change this here, lit to unlit, or wireframe, or player collision. That's useful for seeing like boxes of what can the player walk into. All these view modes, but lit and unlit are helpful. If you just can't see anything because there's a lot of shadows in your scene, you can change it to unlit. It's hard to tell here because we don't really have any lighting. Put this back on, change it to unlit. You see it becomes flat. So if yours looks different because you're in a different engine version, the sky sphere looks different, you just can't read the letters, that's a way to kind of work around things sometimes. Okay, other button that you want to know, right next to F, of equal importance to F. Wait, what I said? Can you make your light louder? That's good. What's the H? Is this going to be cut into separate videos? Yeah, I'm going to make one video for object-oriented programming, and then the next one's going to be like the exec wire. So we're like already a quarter into this. I've been rambling a lot. Hit G. Boom. What happened to those little orbs in the grid? Everything's on. This is what it would really look like in game. You hit G again. This is your editor view, kind of. So game mode, game view, is like, oh, if this object, this actor which is child of object with things on it. Did you talk about shortcuts? No. What do you mean shortcuts? There's shortcuts as a contextual. Do you mean like, tell me what you mean first before I answer that. So when you hit G, you've got the text render. It shows up. This is why I put it on here. So we have a reference. The text render gets rendered in game. So if you want text to show up somewhere, you can put that somewhere. Type in it, etc. Lots of fun stuff you can do with text. But that little orb, that's just there to represent the fact that when you're an editor, you might lose track of things. You might not have a static mesh, which is like a static mesh is like a shape or an object, like in the literal sense, like a physical looking mesh, a 3D model. A 3D model is a static mesh. So let's say you had a static mesh on here. You would see it, and it would probably hide. It would be in front of this. But if you don't have anything visually referencing it, when you hit G, it'll disappear. So it's nice. You can see things a little nicer. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself. We're going to add, let's go to modes. I might rearrange my window a little more here. We're going to add an empty actor. That's under basic. We're going to drag that into the scene. Go ahead and reset its location and type in 200 here. So, or wherever you want to put it. That's your basic actor. But here's the thing. Go back to Content Browser. You can search for actor all you want under engine content, and you're not going to find it. You can't edit the actor itself unless you go into C++ in some fancy ways. But what you can do is drag it into the game, and you've created an instanced version of it, which you can then, you see here on the components, you can actually add components to the instanced version of it. So your root actor can have a text render. And it can say, what is it called here? Empty actor. let's call it empty actor, although it's not exactly. And we'll change the font down to 12. We have these things too. We can change them individually. So without, under the content browser, without changing my first actor, without modifying our blueprint or our code, we can change the instanced version of it on the right here. You see the text render again. It's listed under the components. And you can change that. You can say my first actor. Well, this is actually my first actor 1. If you look in the details panel, that's the one that's highlighted. So highlight my first actor 2, highlight text render, and you can change the text. So we know which one it is. Just a good way for you to see what it means. Hey, subscriber, I did something good. Where are you? see something. Was that Cessifar? Oh no, CC Alt. It's got to be. No, maybe it's not. Tell me who you are. Yep, it is. I knew it. Whatever. Still a valid subscriber. So that's instancing. Okay, what we're going to do now is create a child actor of our own. My first actor is a child of actor. Do you see here when you mouse over it, it lists some details under it. The third one down, it says parent class actor, native parent class actor. If we right click this, first option here, create child blueprint class. Okay, we'll call it my first actor child. Why not? That works. Just hit enter. You can save. Don't do anything fancy with it yet. Just drag it into the world. Let's reset its location and let's put it under 300x. So it's over here. Now look at that. That's also labeled my first actor. What if we open up my first actor child, go to the text render, and change its default thing to say underscore child at the end. So my first actor underscore child. Hit enter. Compile, save. Now you see, because it is a child of the original actor guy, it had a text render on it by default. It was already there when we created it. I opened it up again, and you see here, this is a side thing. If this happens to you, just click this Open Full Blueprint Editor at the top. Since it's a data-only blueprint, there's no code on it yet. It's just default values. You have to click this, actually, in order to see the text render components, which is kind of funny. If it has components, you'd think it would allow you to see this first. But anyway, it has it by default in there when you create it, because it's a child of that. So children of actor classes have actor functionality. A character or a pawn, those are both children of derivatives of. I think pawn is a child of actor and character is a child of pawn. Lots of word jumbo here, but basically they are derivatives of those. What's the difference between actor and class? They both have their own parent functions. Okay, cool. We're actually just about to do this right now. Let me make sure I didn't skip anything. You want another one little thing here before I do this? Is the last thing before. Basically, class. Let me explain real quick before I get to the demonstration of it, and then we'll demonstrate it so you have a better understanding. Actor is a class. Class means type. Okay? Class means type, or class is your, in C++ terms, your class is your file that has stuff in it, information, code, etc. And each, well, like I said, actor is a type of object. All things in Unreal Engine are objects. Each of these is an object. Each of these is an object. Hey, thanks for the sub. Shruggy cat, shruggy cat, shruggy cat. Do you know what an actor is? Actor is like, let's say if you're playing an MMO, actor is a fighter, but vehicle wheel is a cleric. But they're all classes. See what I'm saying here? Hey yo, you do. Well, alright. An informed audience, an informed populace is like what we like to see. No pressure, guys. You don't have to learn everything about Unreal Engine today. We're just trying to get our heads around this concept. So a class is like it is in an MMO. Class is what type of thing are you? An actor is one of those characters is an actor. Each of those characters is an actor. Each of those definitions of what is a class, not necessarily an actor. Those definitions are objects. Those prescribed things are classes themselves. It's the class of class definition, you know. So here, let's get into that. First, let's make another actor. Right-click, blueprint class, or do your add new blueprint. We're going to do actor. Just create another actor. Call it my second actor. Now this actor we're going to place in the world again and drag it in here. While it's selected, you can hit the reset on the location. We're going to change the X to 500 now. And I believe that puts it over here. Oh, I skipped a bit. Change it, maybe 400? Yeah, okay. It doesn't have any text on it because it's a new, brand new actor. As basic as a thing can get in Unreal Engine. You open it up, it's got nothing on it. It doesn't inherit any of the stuff from my first actor. Let's rearrange these a little bit. Let's look at this again. I'm going to grab, you see that red arrow? You can grab it by itself. If you get real close, it doesn't make the arrows any bigger. So you can do this from far away. You also see the little grids on the sides here. That'll grab like 2 of them at the same time. So let's say if I wanted to move it around the horizontal plane, you can do so by grabbing the one that highlights those 2 arrows. Move it along this plane, etc. So let's put this back here at the beginning of our story. If you click my first child actor and then hold down Control and click on the other one, you can move both of these at the same time. You can let go of Control once you've clicked them. Another useful tip here is if you have anything selected and you hold down Shift, when you move it around, the camera is moving with it. So that's really useful when you're world building, editing your level. So we have empty actor, my first actor 2, my first actor child. And now what about this guy? My second actor. Are the spheres in terms of hierarchy? Good point, let's rearrange this to back here. This is a child of my first actor. Let's put it like, actually, yeah, child of it would be, keep things on the grid, very important. So empty actor, my first actor is a child of that. My first actor 2 is just another instance of my first actor. My first actor child is a child of my first actor. Behind empty actor, we could put object, except you can't put objects in the world, so we can't demonstrate that. Sorry, that was my up is not jump moment. Or VR 365 moment. Shout out my favorite channels. And this down here, this is a second actor. I'm going to hold Shift, I'm going to move it around. I'm going to move this up here. This is another child of empty actor. So, this just exists because I want to show you something about something else. I just have another actor in the game that we can reference. So, open up on the left. Let's save everything real quick. Just have it all saved. I don't like those little asterisks. That means it's unsaved. Open up the child first. And we're going to make our first variable. This is where we're going to get into class buddy. Click variable. You're going to have a variable here. Let's call it my first child actor. Or my first actor child is what we're calling it. With the underscore. Just so you know what the hell we're talking about. Right now, that's just a name. It's actually, if you mouse over, it's of type Boolean, which means it's a yes/no. That's like a... We'll get into it. Don't worry about it. What we're going to do first, we're going to change it by clicking on that red thing. Now we have a list of different variable types. These are your basic variables. We're not going to get into it yet. What we're going to type is my first... Now look at this. We have our things here as variables. What does that mean? Now, a variable is a reference to something. It can be information like data, like a number, information like a static mesh, like a 3D model. In this case, it's information like a reference to something else we've created in the game. So there's 2 different types of references you can make. You can make an actor reference and you can make a class reference. Thanks, Cal. Really appreciate it. So let's pay close attention. My first actor, child. No, let's do, okay, wait, click away. Let's rename this. Let's keep our shit straight. Let's just rename this my second actor. That's why we made it. Okay, this might be a little easier to keep track of. All right, we're on my first child, right? Compile, save, and we have a reference here. Click the type again, the red thing. Type in my first. We want, second, my first, my second. Why am I so... My second. There it is. But now what's all this stuff? Don't worry about soft stuff yet. That's useful. It's more optimized when you know what you're doing. But for now, you have object and class. So make the object one. All right, let's do another variable. Click it again. Now you see it defaulted to that same type. do my second actor class. Okay, click the blue thing, type in my second. When you're highlighted over it, you see the class reference. This means when you use these, which we'll get into later, the first one with the blue thing references a specific instance of that blueprint. So, first compile, because now you can modify the default values. Before you compile, you can't edit this. This is not visible. So once you compile, this is visible. I want you to see that it's not possible to select this yet. You can't define this variable. This variable is null. This variable is an X variable. This variable has ceased to be. In fact, it never was. This variable is empty. It's a null and void. This is what you would call a null pointer, I think. Or that might be something else. I think null pointer might be what you... don't go there. That's C++. We'll do C++ later. Right now it's empty. It equals none. See that? It's none. You can't do the pick actor from scene either, because we're in here. We're in the blueprint template of this actor. It doesn't know what scene it's in. Okay? For second actor class, though, we are going to want to define this, because this is defining one of these templates that don't exist in the game yet. So define here on the right. You're going to tell it, oh, it's this thing that we've called my second actor class, which is of type my second actor class. The default value is my second actor class. That's what that is here. Okay, just click it. I don't really know why you have to click this when it already knows what type it is, but it could like not exist itself or something, not equal itself, or I don't know. Just now it is a reference to, what is it a reference to? It's a reference to this on the left here. It's a reference to the archetype. It's a reference to the plans, not to anything in the world. So just do hit save all, and we don't have to worry about anything. We have a my second actor in the world. We have one of them. It's in here. So on my first actor child, which is where we put this, you see it's not anywhere defined. You don't see. One thing I want to show you before I edit this in the game world, I want to show you a little bit about inheritance too. But suffice it to say that you don't see any of these variables in game yet. Okay? They're only on the template. They're only on here because we haven't set them up to be editable yet. But I do want to show you, if you go to my second actor, open it up, those variables aren't here. Close this down. Go to my first actor, those variables aren't here. Okay, close this down. My first actor child is where we put them. They're on the variables panel here. We're going to delete them for now, because that's not the way you want to do things necessarily. Not all the time. Sometimes you do want to put your... This is where you want to start thinking about where do you want to put your code? How is it being used? So, the demonstration is that when it's on the child, it doesn't exist on the parent. Let's delete these. Now they don't exist anywhere. We deleted our variables. Sorry. All that work for nothing. Go back to my first actor. We're going to add them again. Under variables, on my first actor, hit the plus variable. Type in my second actor. Click the red button to change the type to second actor. And as an object reference, we'll click another one. My second actor class. Click the blue thing next to it. Get this. And now you can type in my second again. So we're changing what type of variable it is. All the different types of variables you can have. And this is a class reference variable. And this is an object reference variable. This references a specific object in the level. This references a type of object in your game code. Now, to make them editable, there's a couple things you're going to need to do. This little eyeball icon is the same as clicking up here to say instance editable. So when you click on this, instance editable gets checked. Whether this variable is publicly editable on instances of this blueprint. You're going to want to use this a lot, but not necessarily for everything. You might want to default to not having it, and then when you realize you don't have something available that you need, you want to go and be like, oh, let's make that public. Because it just helps more for organization, so you don't accidentally modify something when you don't intend to. So if you know, like, this variable is only being used inside this code, like it's called weight, and I don't want to accidentally type weight somewhere else and change this variable, so I'm not going to make it public, right? But maybe I want to change this directly on other instances of it. Maybe each one of these has a different weight variable. Keep up the good work. Have to go to class. You are in class, psychos. Have fun learning. So let's make them both public. We're not done that yet, though. This makes it instance editable, so we can change instances of it. But we also want to do expose on spawn. Let me demonstrate. Just don't do that yet. Hit compile and save. On my first actor. Damn it, did I get this wrong? Okay, expose on spawn does do something different. Oh, I remember. I tried doing this yesterday. I was doing a dry run, and I didn't hit compile. Okay, so all we needed to do was the eyeball and the instance editable. Now we can edit instances. Since this is an instance of my first actor, this is an instance of my first actor as well. We have different instances of them. Each of these has the variables available. So let's go back. Let's uncheck the eyes, compile, so that the code is processed. Now, when you click on them, those aren't available to edit, even though they have the variables, right? So this way we can change the default variables of the instanced actors. Gotta check who subscribed before it goes. Oh, Zygods. Cool. Just all you regular subscribers already resubscribing. I want the noobs. Where are you, new people? I'm just kidding. So let's define this on the parent class. And we're in my first actor. Yeah, let's go ahead. Actor class, let's change it to my second actor. That's the only one we could do. Compile and save. Now check this out. Close this guy and go to your first actor child. Look, it's unsaved. But we didn't just edit that. I'm not going to go. I hate streamers who get distracted by every follow, but what's up? All right. I didn't catch that name. Thanks for the follow. On the child, we have my second actor class is already filled in, and it's not listed under here, under variables. This just has it under default. My first actor. I clicked the button. Sorry, delete that. This has, well, I'm just wondering why it doesn't have both of them. The only thing you can do, you see how it says default? If you go to these variables, on the right you have a lot of other options. But a good one to know is category. You can type in your own new category. To create a category, you just type it here. Let's call it my second actor. You type that in. Now it's available as one of the categories. Go to the other one. You see it's in a category now up here. On the other one, you can put the category to my second actor. Now you have them nice and categorized. And on the child has inherited the variables. I don't know why it doesn't have the other one on here. Ignore that. You could change it here. You could say on the child, it's going to be none. Compile and save. Go back to the parent, my first actor. Under class, it has not changed. The parent does not inherit in reverse from the child. Take care, Zycos. Right? So you can change stuff on the child without affecting your parent. These are both template definitions of things. So you could change you can make a parent, you can make a child of the parent that has different stuff, and then you can make instances of the children classes in-game that also have different stuff. So look, we go to my first actor child, an instance of this. Its default is none because we just changed it, but we can change it back to my second actor. Again, that's just there so we know we have a thing that's something different. There's a little disambiguation. So hit save all. You open up my first actor child, it still has none. Even though you changed the instance of it, the thing that's actually going to get referenced. Now, when you export this game, it's not going to export let's hold Alt. Here, check this out. Hold Alt and then drag one of these. We have another one. All right. I'm going to change that text thing. I'm going to click the text render while it's selected. I'm going to put 2 on here. So you can see I've made another one of them. I'm going to drag it over here where we put, oops. Oh, see, look at this. I have the text render component selected, not the actor itself. It's moving separately from the actor. It's because I have it selected here. Select the actor itself. I'll move that over there. Now these are 2 different instances. I can change the default variable. I can also change it at runtime in the middle of a game. I can have something happen where it says this variable here is going to be different now. Okay? This is all really important conceptual stuff for you to wrap your head around when you try saving things. When you're just trying to understand how is the game logic put together. You have to know that there's a difference between the classes that you define, what should happen, and the instances where you might be setting, well, there's a bunch of enemies. Maybe this guy has red hair, and this guy has blue hair. right? You can do things in code that makes each of these instances different. Okay, every time one of these runs, it's going to run some code. Each time one of those runs code, if you give it some random variables, some randomness, it can randomize each one of those. So you can make an actor with a thing that just says, this is where the code happens, by the way. We're going to get it to in the next lesson. But actually, we're basically there already. So I'm just going to ramble until I get sick of it. But basically, yeah, why don't I just show you real quick? Just a brief hint at what the exec wire is going to be. On my first actor, because this is where we put the variable the first time, if at the top here you have construction script. Okay, there's various ways for things to happen in the game. You can go from the begin play. We're going to recover this again in the beginning of the next stream. You can start at the begin play. You can do when something overlaps it. You can tick, which means it happens constantly. I'll explain how that conceptually works. But you also have construction script. This is going to fire off whenever one of these is created, whenever there's an instance of these instantiated. So for example, if you have several of them in the map, right now we actually have 4 of them. See, we have 2 instances of my first actor. We have my second actor here. Okay, and we have 2 instances of my first child. So those are all 4 of them are technically, these all count as my first actors. If you said to the game and you asked it, is this my first actor? It would say yes. That certainly fits the bill of what a my first actor is. Yes, I did my fits the bill point. Okay? This qualifies as an actor. However, if you ask the game, is this a my first actor child? It'd say, no, that's not a my first actor child. That doesn't look anything at all like a my first actor child. My first actor child just isn't like that. Let's say we went to my first actor child and add a component. I wonder if there's any particle systems built in here. There is. Okay, so I added a component. I selected particle system. With particle system selected, on the right here you see template. You should have the tutorial particle system. Have that selected, compile and save. Oh my god, the world is on fire. Let's move these out of the way a little bit. Why is it? Oh, I'm like probably selecting the... Here, let's just grab it in here. Get my first actor and control click my first actor 2. Move them away a bit. Let's get that fire under control. Take my first actor 2. Move it over there. Alright. Now you see, those have fire on them. If you ask this, is this a my first actor child? It'd say no, there's no fire on that. It's not a my first actor child. But if you said, hey, is this a my first actor? It would say, oh yeah, that has, the text render. It has those 2 variables on it. That's totally a my first actor. So that's where you start to get into inheritance of why, for example, if you wanted to have, let's go crazy with this, my first actor child. Let's add some more stuff. Let's do a static mesh. Under components, we've added a static mesh here. Under the right, you have static mesh. Let's see, what does it come with here? Scroll down. We've got all sorts of fun stuff. I don't know. Simple pivot painter example? No, I don't know. Some of this might be with different versions of Unreal Engine 4. Pick whichever one, calls to you. I think a lot of this is from my VR plugins, stuff like that. There's other ways you can do it, but editor help, static mesh. How about just do the good old cube? I'm going to do the Unreal Engine editor help, static mesh. Compile and save. Oh, it's saying, what the heck is going on here? There's so much fire. Okay. You could keep adding so much stuff to here. You could add a bunch of code, a bunch of complicated stuff. And every time you have a reference to something, let's say, for example, our my second actor, if you had a bunch of code on, let's say, instead, we'll reference, let's make a new variable on here, on the my first actor. No, hey, close that. Let's go to my second actor. But not in the world. On the left, under the template type, the blueprint of it, open the blueprint, and let's add a variable of my first actor. Change the red thing to my first actor object class, object reference, just for example. So let's say you needed to reference one of these in code. Oh, I didn't do the public thing. Did I? Okay, oh wait, yeah, so I never actually defined the thing. Look at this. On any of these guys, we have my second actor. It's actually available. It recognizes my second actor in the level. So each of these can have a reference. You know what? I'm going to Alt-click, hold down Alt, and left-click this guy. Now we have 2 instances of my second actor. Let's Alt-click again. We have 3 instances of my second actor. 4 instances of my second actor. If you go to this other guy, the reference to my second actor, it can be any one of those 4 instances. So that's referencing a specific instance. This guy over here also has a variable on it because it's the parent. The variable's on the parent. You can change. Each of these has a reference to a different my second actor. Okay. Now let's open up my second actor. It has a reference to my first actor. We're going to make it public. Compile and save. So we can see it here. On my second actor, each of these has a reference to my first actor. And now look, all of the children are available to select because they qualify as my child actor. But here's the thing. When you make these references, this reference to my first actor, takes up as much memory as my first actor. So since my first actor doesn't really have a lot of stuff on it, this reference to my first actor is more efficient than having a direct reference. Okay? You can also change the type up here if you want to do that. Instead of clicking the little button, you have this variable type here. And clicking the little button here changes some other types. So you might get a little confused with that. I apologize if I skipped that. But if you change this to my first actor child, if you just click here, it'll auto-select object type. Compile and save. When you go to change these instances of it, only the children are available. And this memory reference here, this reference exists in the game. Whenever this my second actor is in game, it also includes a reference to my first actor. How does it know what my first actor is? It has to know everything about my first actor, essentially. So you want to save the most basic limited type of actor reference in your code so that you're not going, oh yeah, you know that horse with all that complicated logic and stuff on it? Oh, you mean the horse that goes exactly like this, that, and the other? Yeah, that one. Yeah, is this a horse? Yeah, it is. Okay. You didn't need to have all the information about a horse in your logic in order to tell if it's a horse. I'll show you a quick workaround for that before we get into anything else. Gameplay tags. There it is. Under Actor, there's a pull-down menu here. You have tags. Array of tags that can be used for grouping and categorizing. Add an element. It's just like a tag, a hashtag in Twitter or something. Let's just call this second actor yo, because we can. It can be whatever you want. Compile and save. I want to show you something very interesting. On some of these instances, I'm going to invalidate this reference. Let's clear this reference on this guy, my second actor. Let's clear that. This one instance does not have a valid reference here. Okay? On my first actor parent class, which is going to affect all of these 4 here, on the construction script, so every time it gets created, which means when the level is launched and it's going to spawn one of these it's created, it's constructed. I'll explain how this wire works later on and what I'm doing here. Okay? This is one of those times where the lesson's over. I'm just having fun. Okay, we'll come back and cover this ground. We'll cover this a lot next time. But I'm going to get my second actor reference. I'm going to get it. Don't worry about what I'm doing here. I'm doing one of those asshole things where I'm skipping steps. And I'm going to say has tag. If it has tag second actor yo, this return value is what we call the Boolean. It's a yes or no thing. So the very first thing that you need to learn about is a branch flow control. Is it true or is it false? There's the only 2 states that a Boolean can be. It's a 0 or it's a 1. It's a yes or a no. It's true or false. So if my reference, get it? So if this right here, what we're looking at is the template. So when this runs, it's going to say, does the current instance's reference, since this does have a default value that you could set, it's actually checking whether the current instance's reference of this value has a tag. And since I made one of them blank, it doesn't reference anything, it doesn't have something to reference, we're going to do something else. Man. Okay, a little more comment. I can add tags to the instances instead. We're going to do two things here. We're going to right-click this reference, and you got convert to validated get. Or you can do, otherwise, you can drag off of it and say is valid. Again, I'm going to do this stuff in the next stream. This is just, class is over, go home. Go home, kids. You're done, get out of here. So this is a thing that's going to say, well, is this a valid reference? If it's valid, do something. If it's not valid, we're not going to do anything at all. This wire is like what's happening. And I'll explain the wires a lot more next time. I apologize. So if it does have my second actor, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get the text. If I type text. No, you know what? I have to do some special stuff. I have to cast to. What can I do here? I'm going to delete it. Destroy. No, that's not good either. I'm going to get location. Get actor location. And I'm going to add vector. Vector plus vector. Yeah, this is just having fun here. I'm going to add 100 to the z-axis. And again, I'm going to take this reference to the actor. Get it? And I'm going to set actor location. I'm going to plug in the true here, because whenever you see one of these white things, it needs to be triggered. I'll explain this next time. This is just fun time. Okay? Alright, so if it has second actor it's going to go up. I actually just constructed it, I think. Oh, look at that. Look what we've done here. Since I constructed it, I compiled it, that happened. Some of them happened twice. I think if I keep compiling it, I wonder if it'll raise again. Yeah, it went up again. Each time I compile this, it's constructing it. They're up there now. So I've put some code in here. Compile, you see this red wire? It's triggered the construction script. And they're going further and further. The ones that are none. See this one. My second actor 2. Does have the second actor tag. I wonder why this one isn't going as much. It doesn't really matter. I'm just fucking around. But you can see some of the concepts at work here. How different instances are different from each other. I'll do code and logic and programming next time. That was just kind of like a little fun. Why did some move 2 times and only move 1 with each compile? Damn it, I don't know. Stop asking so many questions. Let's see. So you find out. It might be because they're referenced twice. This is my second actor 3. This is my second actor 4. This one references my second actor 4. This one references my second actor 3. The one that didn't go up as much as my second actor 2, which is the one being referenced over here by this guy. It is valid. And my second actor has the tag. There's 2 of this type and this is where debugging would come in handy. Sorry, that was your guess. Double reference. I had to look away for a second. I was afraid. It has to be a double reference. That would be the guess too. My second actor. My hope was that one of these essentially would not work. My second actor. Well, that's why that one's not working. This is my second actor. Even though it's referenced. Oh, it's not referenced. Yeah, okay. My second actor 2 is referenced. There. Okay, so my first actor is doing twice as much than my first actor child. See, the construction script here is firing its parent's construction script. When this is constructed, it's firing that one. My guess would be that because... Let's put my second actor as my second actor 2. Let's drop all of these down. Let's reset their positions. Right, selecting them and hitting that. Could be because, well, I compile my first actor one time. And... look at that. Weird shit. Anyway, this was not prepared. I'll cut it out of the final upload. No, I'm just kidding. I just like having fire and explosions. So thanks for sticking around. That was my first tutorial. A little fun at the end there. Didn't really... was just made that up on the spot. What I wanted to demonstrate is that first half hour, first hour or so. Hey Kaisaki, what's up? So essentially, to run it over again, this here is an empty... We're going to just go through it real quick. Object is a thing that you can create in your content browser. Add new blueprint class. You can create an object. Already exists. I have actor typed in here, that's why it's not showing up. New blueprint, my second object. It can't go in the world. Objects cannot go in the world, but you can have variables on them. You can create them in game, but they won't have a place. You can have multiple of them, but they'll do things. When you create a child, let's see, actually let's do the next step, is you have an actor class. Actor is a child of an object class, actor class. My third actor. Parent class actor. You can make a child of that if you want. My third actor child. It's a child of third actor. So anything you put on my third actor will show up on my third actor child. If you put stuff on my third actor child, it won't show up on my third actor. That's how object orientation works. It's derivative. It's just like folders in a file structure. So with components on my first actor, actually delete that. So you see my actor, empty actor, has nothing on it. My first actor, the template, has the component on it, the text render. So all of the children have the text render on them. But what we did is we changed the default value of the child text render so that the child has a different default value of what the parent gave it. We could also take the instance, multiple versions of the child, by dragging them in here. Each of them will have the same default value, but you see their name gets automatically changed up here. This text render is something we added ourselves just to keep track of it. So in order to change them, you can change them on... I wonder if... You know what? Let me see this. Oh, I wonder if I can... Screw all of this real quick. On construction script, let's get the text render. Let's see if I can do get name. Get full name class object path. Let's do set text. Or set text. This will auto convert. I clicked wrong. Auto convert. Don't worry about actually doing this. I just want to demonstrate a little better. Assets, data. Oh, that doesn't work. Display name. Get object name. And self. Look at that. Automatically set all the names. See that? It just automatically did it. Each of these has the name of the instance. Not just the type, but the instance. This is actually the second instance of it because the first instance is in the folder over here. This is actually my first actor 1, technically speaking. I remember someone at Unreal Academy explained this to me in a C++ class. I didn't know what the fuck was going on, but I understood that. This is actually an instance of it. So if you ever get into debugging and you're like, how many instances of this exist? You actually sort of technically have one in your folders. This is 2. This is somehow the 8th one because I created a bunch. Some got constructed, they exist in code. So this is actually the 8th instance that the game knows about somehow. They're just lost in there somewhere. Here's my first child 2, technically, because it's the first one in the game. The first one exists outside of the world. Yes, it will upload to YouTube, 100%. So you see what we've done here on the parent actor, on the construction script. So anytime this gets created, for example, compile it again, they're still the same. That's good. Whenever you create one of these, so for example, let's drag this here, it's already got a name. See that? It says 3, my first actor 3. And when I let go of it, it says my first actor 311. 311. So what it's doing is it's setting the text of the text render to the object's name. And don't worry about these yet. We're going to explain a lot about this stuff next time. It's just a concept I thought you'd think it was cool. So that's that. Let's destroy everything. Destroy everything. Yeah, just delete them. Yeah, get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. All right. You didn't have to do that. I wanted to do it. You can keep your files if you want. But I'm done with the first lesson. I'm going to delete the third actor stuff here. Third actor. Second object. It's unnecessary stuff. Really, all of this is unnecessary stuff. This was just for demonstrative purposes. I'll see you guys next time when we're going to do the actual exec wire. I might go tomorrow because this was fun, and I just want to prepare myself. So again, a quick rehash. We created a new blueprint object, my first object. You can't place it in the world, can't replicate, which means networking stuff. I think you can, but only if you use C++. You can hold variables. Like an actor is a child of object. It's a class based on the class of object. You create a definition of it, a blueprint, by creating it. Placed in the world, you can press F for respect to find your object in the world. Your not object. Well, it is object. It is technically an object. Ant is a bug. A bug is not an ant. Bug equals object, and ant equals actor. You got it? I'll repeat it for the folk in the back. Ant is a bug, and a bug is not an ant because, or not because. Object is like bug, and actor is like ant. The actor is a child of object. They're both just class definitions. When you create an actor and drop it into the world, you've created an instance of the object, of the actor. You can add components to the definitions, to the blueprints. You can also add them to the instances dynamically. You can spawn a component in the middle of a game that has all of your code and logic on it, and then as soon as you're done with that logic and code, you can delete it, basically, and free up all that memory space when you don't need it. And that's something I'm very guilty of not doing enough in Phalanx, because I didn't know about it when I started. I didn't realize that the way you should be composing your code should be organizationally optimized, not for the sake of organization for your own work, but for the sake of memory allocation. So that when you need to do something complex in the game, you don't keep it lingering around all the time, running constantly in the background. You make the component for it on the instance of the actor, you use it, and it gets automatically handled in trash cleanup when you're no longer referencing it. It's fancy stuff, super fancy. You can change lit to unlit. I'll show that again real quick. Here, lit to unlit. Press G to hide and unhide the game stuff, so it looks like how it would look in proper in-game mode versus like editor view. You got your blank actor. Technically, you can place them in the world and add components to them or do things to them dynamically if you want to be real minimalist about it. Or you can put your own actors in the world. You get the parent-child stuff. Instancing, when you hold Alt, you're doing a duplicate. You can also right-click and duplicate things. Duplicate. You can drag multiple objects or grab multiple instances into the map from the browser. Each of these methods creates new instances of the actor. You can create a variable that's just a reference to the class type, not necessarily the specific instance in the world. When you create an object reference, you're creating an instance reference. You're creating a reference to which one of these objects exists currently, or is this reference null? Is it an empty reference? You can also, basically the other option is to reference the class. So you can say like, oh, I just want something of type this. I just want to know the class default variables. I want to know like, oh, if I had one of these, what would it be like? What are the basic standard of template of what this class type is. That's what class is. So, class is just like class in the animal kingdom. Phylum, all that stuff. It's class is your character class. Actor is your character. So you have stuff on the parent, the child inherits it, it appears there. Also, are there any other questions besides am I uploading to YouTube? If there's anybody still around that wants to know any of this stuff, like clearing up. So with an object type, you can't set the default variable of the object type in the details of the class blueprint. Let me show you what I mean again. So if we open up this, we have, let's open up my first actor, and you have this. You can't set it because this is the template. The template doesn't exist in-game. The template doesn't know what exists in-game. But if you have one of these in the world, and what was it a reference to? Second actor? And you have some of my second actors in the world, it's available because this has 2 of them. Oh, there's 3 of them. See? I had the 2 selected as a reference to my first actor. Why doesn't that work? Oh, that's actor child. Just make sure that's clear for myself for later on. So if I put an actor child in here, this could have a reference to it. See, it doesn't have a reference to it yet because it's not in the game world. It's not an instance of it. These actor references are references to which one of them is it. It's a really important concept to wrap your head around. And lastly, if it's not set, if it's cleared, if it's void, you know, you can right-click and say convert to validated get. Is it valid or is it not valid? You can take a reference and ask it, is it valid? 2 different ways. I'll explain how these work later on. You can say, and that way, when you run the code, if you ran a code and you just used it without knowing and it is invalid, your program might crash. It's something you want to be careful of all the time. Null pointers. You've heard the phrase null pointer before. Now you know what they're talking about. So, that's our lesson for today. I think I'm all done. Only been an hour and a half. That's pretty good. I thought maybe I'd get like 20 minutes done and be finished. So, whoop. Technical difficulties. Thanks for bearing through the technical difficulties. Oh, Plane Shift subscribed to that. Cool. Followed. Thanks for new subs, new follows. I'm going to do next time the exec wire. How does logic flow work in Unreal Engine? What is a pure node versus a cast node? Some other cool stuff. It'll be fun. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.